Hello, welcome. Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 28 Greenpeace Movement, we are continuing our topic Greenpeace Movement Global Avenues of Action, and subtopic is Save Sea from Destruction. Our ocean cover two-thirds of the planet and host 80% of all life, from microscopic plankton to the largest of the great whales. Oceans also provide half of the oxygen requirements of the planet. Until a few centuries ago, oceans were protected by vast distances, great depth, and harsh conditions, making it inaccessible to humankind. The latest vessels and equipment used to exploit marine life, coupled with the burning of fossil fuel and the development and dumping of chemical into the oceans, outpace their ability to clean themselves and maintain a natural balance. The indiscriminate exploitation of oceans caused dead zones of lifelessness in the sea, decimation of the fishing stock, extinction of whale, etc. Greenpeace movement raised its voice against this for saving our sea and sea life from the further destruction. Other than seabed trawling, some of the key threats to the sea life are industrial fishing, destructive fishing, unfair fishing, and the fish farming. Industrial fishing fleets using pinpoint accurate sonar can zone in on schools of fish with frightening speed and precision. The modern gold rush for fish in many places far exceeds the ocean's ability to recover. Destructive fishing wastes marine life. Many a time when it is fishing for particular types of fishing, 90% of what comes into the net are thrown back, mostly killing the unwanted fish lives. This accidental catch, or bycatch as it euphemistically known, is not restricted to unwanted fish. Every year up to 3 lakh whales, dolphins and porpoises die in nets, and 1 lakh albatrosses are caught on hooked fishing lines. Turtle, seals and sharks are also victims of indiscriminate fishing practices. Unfair fisheries include pirate shipping and the steal vast quantities of fish, destroying the marine environment. Also, by misappropriation of their catch, large fleets of the trawling cheat the nations. Fish farming, known as the aquatic culture, is often promoted as the solution to overfishing, but it is far from answer. The shrimp aquaculture industry is perhaps the most destructive, unsustainable and unjust fisheries industry. Mangroves clearance, fishery destruction, murder and community land clearances to make a way for fish farming have been widely reported by human rights and environmental groups in almost a dozen countries around the world. Some countries have introduced protected areas within their national waters, a national 12-mile exclusive economic zone to save the sea from the destructive human activities. Greenpeace believes that this is not enough if protection is to be effective. They call for a massive network of marine reserves. Marine reserves are the area of the sea that are fully protected from human activities. National parks for oceans. Greenpeace defines marine reserves as areas that are close to all extractive uses such as fishing and mining, as well as to disposal activities. Within these areas, there may be core zones where no human activities are allowed. For instance, areas that act as scientific reference areas or areas where there are particularly sensitive habitats or species. Some areas within the coastal zone may be open to small-scale non-destructive fisheries, provided that they are sustainable within ecological limits and have been decided upon with the full participation of affected local communities. The establishment of the marine reserves has been shown to the result in long-lasting and often rapid increases in marine populations, their diversity and productivity. Now let us move to the next point: protect ancient forests. The words ancient forests are truly diverse. They include boreal, temperature and tropical forest, coniferous and broadleaf forest, rainforest and mangroves. Together they maintain environmental systems that are essential for life on Earth. They influence weather by controlling rainfall and evaporation of water from soil. They help stabilize the world's climate by storing large amount of carbon that would otherwise contribute to climate change. These ancient forests are home of millions of forest people who depend on them for their survival, both physically and spiritually. These forests also house around the two-thirds of the world's land-based species of plants and animals. These hundreds of thousands of different plants and animals and the literally millions of insects are there whose futures also depend on the ancient forest. These magnificent ancient forests are under threat. More than 87 human cultures have been lost in Brazil alone. In the next 10 to 20 years, the world looks set to lose thousands of species of plants and animals. Illegal and destructive logging operations encroach deeper and deeper into the biggest forests of the world, such as Amazon rainforest, Africa's Cameroon rainforest, etc. One of the driving factors behind this forest destruction is the demand for cheaper timber for the international marketplace. Greenpeace protested the altered the concerned national governments as well as the international communities against this global threat. They gave some constructive suggestions to save the forest cover from depletion. They argued for adoption of legislation to halt the import and marketing of illegal logged timber into Europe and promote environmentally and socially responsible forest management worldwide. Such a law should allow for the prosecution of individuals and companies involved in the illegal trade of timber and timber products. Ultimately, such a law should ensure European consumers that any timber products they buy are from legal and well-managed forests, and that traders engaged in legitimate trade are not undermined. Developing strong voluntary partnership agreement VPAs between the producer countries and the European Union. This will tackle corruption and weaknesses in the forest governance of producer countries, and that will lead to responsible forest management practices, such as those specific under the principles of criteria of the Forest Stewardship Council. UPSC. Greening their timber procurement by introducing legal and sustainable purchasing criteria and stop fueling illegal and destructive logging activities using public money. Implementing and enforcing existing national and European legislature on bribery and money laundering, which are regularly linked to the trade in illegally logged timber. Providing sufficient funding for forest conservation and sustainable forest management in timber producing countries, and ensuring that EU subsidy programs do not fund or promote forest destruction. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.